Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jaina. This is my channel, Sun Spaces. I also have an Etsy shop and an Instagram if you'd like to follow me there. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you my entire Hoya collection. It's a video that I've been wanting to do for so long. I think it'll be super cool to just document my collection at this stage and like how many Hoyas I have. Because I actually don't know how many I have. If I had to guess, I'd say around 50. I'm also going to be ranking them from least to favorite, I guess, least. They're still, I was gonna say they're still all my favorites, but there are a couple that I'm considering getting rid of in some way. So I'm gonna go make a list because I haven't done that yet because I didn't really prepare. I'm just gonna bring them to the camera. I think that'll be fun. Some of them are pretty big, so let's get started. I got my list in here. I also gathered all of my Hoyas on this table next to me, so I'm just gonna grab and go. This table is full. I had to expand it. I just did a list and I forgot some, so I lumped a couple together. This is gonna be probably a pretty long video. I got my highlighter and I'm going to cross up as I go. Also got an Olipop. So I'm gonna go through and just start showing you guys my collection, starting with the least, my least favorite, and that would be, starting off strong. I don't have, I already brought it to myself, oh my god. Starting with this Hoya Endauensis. It's teensy tiny because the rest of the plant got scale, which is kind of funny because I propagated this a while ago before anything was wrong with it to sell in my shop. And it's just been a very slow growing Hoya for me anyway, so I'm not saying I wouldn't love this if it were bigger, but my particular plant is just not doing it for me. Next on the list is, kind of surprising, but Hoya globulosa. This plant is super fuzzy. There's like a fungus gnat on it. This plant is super fuzzy and really cool looking. I also had a bigger plant of this, but it wasn't doing well. It just started turning yellow for whatever reason, so I took a single node. And I'm honestly not mad that I did that. It looks a lot cuter in my opinion than it did when it was kind of unruly. Hoya globulosa. Part of me is like, why didn't I put this at the end? Because it's just been a pain in my butt ever since I got it. Actually, that's not true. But I just haven't really been loving it as much as I wanted to. I got this at the Cal Poly plant shop. And it's a great plant and I got it for a great price. It's Hoya obscura. I don't know, it's kind of wonky. But yes, next on the list is Hoya obscura. I might be getting rid of this, I'm not gonna lie. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if I mentioned this, but just because they're at the end of my list doesn't mean I don't still like them and want, you know, the best for them. Here I have my Hoya fungii or fungii. This is another one of those last resort single node propagation situations. I took 2 leaves off and propagated it and kind of just started over in LECA. Hoyas in LECA are so easy and I forget that sometimes. If you're ever struggling with a Hoya, I recommend just putting it in LECA and it always just seems to do well for me. Specifically when there's no drainage for some reason. I do like this plant. It's just kind of whatever, you know? There's nothing super amazing about it. It's just a plant that I appreciate. Quickly, I'll talk about my Hoya multiflora. I love the potential for this plant, so I'm keeping it for that reason. And I really actually would love to have the elbow version of this. I just think they're a little bit more interesting than the green. I do really love this. When I got it, it was a full plant, but it had thrips. So I took a single node cutting like I do with pretty much all of my plants these days. And we're starting over. I neglected it, as you can tell, but it'll come back. Speaking of coming back, this Hoya Suzy Q, I chopped in half, sold the other half, and rooted it. We have some new leaves coming. You could see those tiny little pink thingies. This plant is beautiful, but something about it just, I think it might be the growth pattern. I just don't know what I'm gonna do with this because it grows kind of weird and I don't really have the perfect spot for it. This is Hoya Suzy Q, if I didn't say that already. I've had this next plant for a very long time. It probably doesn't look like it, but this is Hoya curtisii. I let this plant get really long, and then I decided I just wanted to start over for some reason, so that's what I did. And I just keep it inside of my greenhouse cabinet just because it fits in there. My cats really like my Hoyas, so I try to keep them all out of reach, otherwise they'll just get attacked. I have an Olipop. These are the best. Where's my highliner? This is my Hoya Webergier. I don't even think they call it that anymore. I think it's Hoya verticillata. It is known for getting pink splash and highlight, but mine doesn't do that. It just gives me yellow leaves and highlight. So I'm gonna try and grow this in a lower light situation and see if I can get more attractive leaves, but I still think it's cute. My next plant is Hoya Finlaysonii. Had this also for a very, very long time. I've been propagating it like crazy, selling it, all the things. And I just threw it in Leca. And I have a couple of these actually, but this is my one I decided to show you guys. It's just really cute. Very common, not common, but I think a lot of people have a Finlaysonii in their Hoya collection because it's a classic. It has really thick leaves. Mine, for some reason, has a peduncle right here and right there and right there. So that's interesting. I'm pretty sure this did bloom for me before. I don't remember. But I'll see if I have a photo of the flowers. This is a plant that I'm just looking forward to the future with. It's a very slow grower. Even the non-variegated version of this grows pretty slow, but this is the inner variegated Hoya compacta. I just found a mealybug. I haven't seen mealybugs on my plants in a long time, and it's been wonderful. And this is the worst Hoya to get mealybugs, so I'm gonna have to treat this as soon as possible. Hoya compacta monoloa. Because of all the like super curly leaves, it's not very great for pests. So you always have to like make sure that they're not hiding in there. That's kind of why I don't love this one as much as I could. I've had it for so long and it honestly looks exactly the same as when I got it like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. If it had no pests and just grew faster, I would be so happy. This is a plant that I've recently started liking a lot more. This is Hoya Kimingiana. It's pretty stiff, like the leaves are pretty hard. So once they're growing, they grow a lot. But mine takes a lot of breaks in between, which is fine because I would not be able to keep up if I get down. I nearly dropped one of my favorite plants on the ground. But like I was saying, Hoya Kimingiana, it's become a little bit more common. There were several times where I thought about trading this or whatever, but I've kept it and I'm pretty happy that I did. It's got some new growth right here actually. I don't know if you'll be able to see that right in the middle. Hoya Kimingiana. These two are kind of tied. But this is Hoya sigillatus. This is actually from Harley G's plant. I got it from her plant shop. This also, it was doing so well and then it got root mealies, so here we are. Same thing here, doing so well. It was so gorgeous. Let me try and find a picture. My Hoya Rebecca. And I just had to throw it in Leca because I didn't want to lose it. And this is my Hoya Kellyanna variegated. It's cute. I don't have much to say about it. Had a pretty popular season there. Yeah, just a really cute Hoya. These next two are very, very similar. They're both very fuzzy, but their fuzziness is a little bit different. This one feels a little bit more like velvet. And this one feels like felt, I would say. This one's a lot softer. This is Hoya coronaria and this is Hoya lauterbachii. If you haven't already seen the flowers on this Hoya, they're amazing. And I think my plan for this one day is to let it grow in like a sunroom or something where there's a lot of sun and just let it grow up a vine, like up the wall or something, and hopefully one day I'll get massive flowers. I used to have Hoya McGillivray and that had ginormous flowers too, and I was surprised to even get blooms in my low light apartment on that plant. So if you're looking for a flower that's huge on a Hoya, I would recommend McGillivray because it blooms pretty easily. This one, I've heard it's a little bit harder to bloom indoors. So that's the only reason why I say that. And I've struggled with this plant. I don't really know why, but this one on the other hand, it's doing a bit better than it was. This is Hoya coronaria. It's really fuzzy. I like the way it feels. I don't know what the flowers look like. I'm assuming they're red for some reason. I feel like I saw a picture one day and they were red. We are on plant like 15 or 16. I forgot a couple, so my numbers are a little off. On to the next one. I recently found this Hoya Bertonier variegated at a Home Depot nearby. Yeah, just because it's new, it's not as high up on this list. But I'm also showing you guys my regular and very thirsty Bertonier. But this plant's always blooming. Personally, I love the scent. It smells exactly like butterscotch. I know a lot of people don't like the smell of these flowers, but I love it, especially at night. They seem to be more fragrant. It just lives in front of the window and doesn't complain. I water this very rarely, probably like once every 2 weeks. This next one is my Hoya carnosa. I think this is the side that faces the window. I really love this plant. I'm surprised I put it kind of halfway, but it's one of my favorites. It's just, you know, your standard Hoya carnosa, and it normally is blooming at this time of year, so maybe there's some peduncles on here forming, but I don't see any at the moment. But it has really pretty white flowers. They smell like Tootsie Rolls. Very easy Hoya, very beautiful. These leaves are so waxy and shiny. I need to probably shower this thing off today. Interesting, this leaf has 2 points on it. Hoya carnosa. Hoya carnosa. This one's been growing on me lately because I grew it back from a single node, but this is Hoya gracilis or memoria. I'm not sure which one. The new leaves come in purple. I had a big basket, but I started over with the smaller plant, and I'm really happy that I did. And I like the growth pattern on it. This is my first ever plant sale when I started my shop. This is my Hoya Wyetii, and I'm growing it back from a single leaf. I'm sounding like a broken record, I swear. I promise not all of my Hoyas are started over. I just have been babying this thing because it's a little bit sentimental to me now. It had a peduncle, but it didn't make it. It was so close. So, wait, did it bloom? I can't remember. This is a variegated Hoya australis. I think it's called Hoya Alexandria. If you've seen the Albo australis, this is pretty much the inverse version of that. The leaves are fuzzy like the Hoya australis albo. It's a specific type of australis that's fuzzy. I don't remember what type. If you do know more about this Hoya, please let me know because I never see this. It actually took me a long time to find this on Etsy, and it's a very slow grower, but it looks like it's got some new growth points activated, which is really exciting. I keep this one in my Mills Botal. Here is my Hoya Sunrise. We've had quite a journey, me and this plant. I traded pretty much the whole thing for my Hoya Mauna Loa, which you saw earlier, which was pretty cool of a trade, honestly. It's kind of looking a little bit chlorotic, if that's what's going on. The leaves are still firm. It's just I'm not loving this like yellow color, so I might pull it away from the light a little bit. Hoya Sunrise. So I forget that I still have this Hoya. I don't know why. But this is Hoya Irina. No. Or something ice. I can't remember. But it has black outer margins. If you can see, the edges are a little bit darker than the middle, which I love. And I would love to see this just keep putting new leaves out. Each leaf on this plant is really exciting because they can get pretty big, and this has bloomed for me quite a few times. Sorry for the cat hair on this next one. This is one that I've been holding on to in the Mills bow to try and avoid cat hair, but as soon as I take it out, it's just like instantly covered in cat hair again. This is Hoya numelarioides. I really like this plant for its flowers, and I do like the leaves, but I have it on trellis, and I would like to see it just climb up and just continue to grow. I think I might take this out of terracotta because I don't think it loves it that much. I have to water it pretty frequently, and that's a sign of it drying out too quickly. And I also try to keep this one away from the grow light because I like the leaves to be darker, and I find that it bleaches pretty easily. Hoya numelarioides. This plant and I have been through a lot together. I've had this plant for probably 4 years, maybe 5. I got this at a Hoya convention that I went to in San Francisco, along with the coronaria that I was telling you about earlier. That was such a fun day. I also got my favorite Hoya from that place as well. But this plant I've had to reroot like 3 or 4 times now because of pests, because of root rot, just all of the above. So this has been a pretty difficult plant for me. Currently rerooting it in leca. It had scale, which is disgusting. Scale, I'm not gonna lie, is probably my least favorite pet. When I see scale on a plant, I'm tempted to just toss it. This plant, I really didn't want to throw it away, so I scrubbed it off, and I check it like every day to make sure that it hasn't come back, and so far so good. These leaves get super big, and they sunstress really nicely. This next plant is Hoya Flores Island. It also has a number name, UT something something something. This became one of my favorites this year because of these 2 leaves. I had an aphid problem earlier, so you could probably see a little bit of the damage. But I love how shiny, and this shade of green is awesome. It's got a lot of new growth, so I'm trying to contain it for my cat before she ruins that. I'm excited to see this one grow. Sorry, I'm like simultaneously checking for pests. Because when else do you have your entire collection for individual inspection? I keep wanting to say Finlaysonii. Hoya Flores Island. I want this to be as big as my Carnosa one day. This is Miso Scoot. He hates being picked up, so we'll see how long he'll last. Yeah, he's starting to squirm. This is my Hoya caudata. My last attempt at keeping this plant because it has some unknown issue. I would repurchase this, honestly. I really like this Hoya, and I see them growing so easily for other people, but this one just has never done that for me. It'll look like it's doing well, but then the leaf will just turn yellow and fall off, so I literally have no idea. I've tried everything, and this is the last attempt. Putting it in leca and seeing if it'll grow. This is a newer plant to my collection, but I have grown this plant before. This is Hoya Fitchii. I love the veins, I love the sunstressing, but I prefer the green version. This one I'm going to be taking cuttings and propagating because I made a soil mix and repotted a huge chunk of my collection, and all of the plants got root rot from that, and this is one of them. You can't really tell, but the leaves are paper thin right now, which is a sign that they're not taking in any moisture, which usually for me means that the roots are rotted. I think that this soil mix is just too compact, which is really sad because I have to now repot everything and like take cuttings and start over with those plants. And unfortunately, if I didn't say this already, I repotted like my favorite plants that day. So my next video is going to be making my tried and true soil mix that I usually use, that never fails me. So stay tuned for that video. I'll be doing that shortly because I will be repotting a lot of plants. So yeah, let me know what else you guys would like to see. By the way, I would like to create videos that you guys would like to watch. Anyway, that is my Hoya Fitchii. Ooh. I just noticed 3 new growth points on this plant. Ironically, this is the plant that my cat just bit the tip off of. But this is Hoya Tequila Sunrise. I got this in a trade with one of my friends, and I really like This Hoya, it's one of my favorites. Also this pot, I love this pot. Isn't that beautiful? This Hoya is so pretty. I like it when it's plain green, and I also like the sun-stressed version. Love it. We're getting into my favorites here, you guys. This was a gift from my husband to me on my birthday. This is Hoya manipurensis. I had one before this one and it died and I was really sad, so my husband bought me a new one. It's pretty cool. It's got triangular shaped leaves and they're very hard. They're like cardboard. Just looking forward to this one growing more. This is my Hoya pubicalis. This is one of my first ever Hoyas that I've ever got. I have two in here. I got a splash and then just a regular one that I combined together. I mean, they're the same plant, one just has more splash. I keep this in front of the window and all the leaves are facing out, so I don't get to see this pretty like cascading side. I see the ugly like sparse back. This is one of my favorite Hoyas just because of how long I've had it. It's probably the most common Hoya you can find. But I love it. I love it so much, and I plan on keeping it for as long as it stays alive. I'm gonna try to be very gentle with this one. This is my Hoya linearis. I've had this plant for so very long, and I refuse to give up on it because it's just so beautiful, and I've had it for so long that I don't want to give up on it. It started as just a couple cuttings, probably like the size of this little straggler piece. Sorry, I keep like having to get my cats down. It's like more work than the actual video itself is like keeping my cats happy. So yeah, the leaves are very fuzzy and they cascade really pretty. Mine is just, you know, it struggles and I've had to start over multiple times with it. I just really want to try and see where I can get this. I'll keep you guys updated. This plant was featured in my favorites of 2025. This is my Hoya PG04. It's very wispy, very whimsical. It gets sun stress on the very outer edges like the Hoya Wayedii. And I just think it's so cute. I think it even bloomed for me a couple times. And it's very easy. It grows fast, but still stays compact. And it hasn't given me any issues. It used to have mealybugs, but no longer does, which is amazing. This next plant, this is Hoya Mathilde. I realize I probably don't need to say Hoya in front of everything because this is a Hoya only video, but I can't help it. This is Hoya Mathilde. I've had this for a long time. It's really, really cute. I got it as a tiny, tiny, tiny little plant. And it's been growing slow and steady, but I keep it on this trellis. You can't even really see it. I just like tied some like wire that I got from Amazon together. So this is a hybrid between Hoya carnosa and Hoya serpens. And we have like 10 more plants to go. So in general, Hoyas are pretty slow growers. So a lot of these I've had for years and they're still pretty small. Considering I did propagate most of them though, I guess I can't really say that, but for example, I've had this one for I think 2 years and it's put out like 2 leaves every 6 months or maybe even just 1. But this is my Hoya New Guinea Ghost. But yeah, Hoyas do take quite a long time to get established, but I think we're almost there with this one. I love this Hoya. I think it's so pretty. I've always wanted it, and I love this pot also. I kept a lot of them in just their, took a lot of these out of their cover pot so it would be easier for me to bring them to the camera. But this one I just had to show you the pot. And these leaves come out like a little bit purpley. Sometimes they stay that color if you give it a lot of light, but I don't really mind if it doesn't. I love that silvery. Look how pretty. This is another wish list Hoya that I recently acquired. I don't know how well you're gonna see this one, but this is a Hoya carrii. Not your typical like heart-shaped carrii, which I'll show you guys probably next, but with a C. It just has really tiny, delicate leaves. grows pretty fast actually. I started it in Leca and it really likes it so far. But yeah, this is a pretty new one to my collection, so I will just keep you updated on its growth. I'm actually really surprised at how high I ranked this on my list. This is my regular Hoya carry-eye, and I honestly forgot that I had this for a long time until it just started growing, because then it's like each time it puts out a leaf it gets way bigger, like the plant itself. Like it was only these 2 leaves for a long time, like probably a year. And then it finally put out this perfect leaf, and ever since then I've just been enamored by it. Even though this one is a little bit funky, I just love how huge these leaves are. Staying on the huge leaves trend, this is my Hoya obovata, which I kind of love for the same reasons. It just started growing for me finally after a few years, and it's putting out very, very nice round and dark leaves. It's just very satisfying to see these leaves like expand slowly. This is a new leaf, for example. See how tiny that is, and then it slowly just gets bigger and bigger, and you don't know how big it's gonna get. Like, where's those 2? Like this one? That's huge. I actually bought this as, I think you might have heard in a previous video, but I bought this as a variegated obovata, if you can tell right there, and it definitely reverted, but it gave me some splash, so the trade-off is fine. I really like the way it fills up a corner of the shelf, or like whatever, wherever you want to put it. Another favorite is my Hoya Polyneura Silver. You can really see the silver in this lighting compared to my previous video when I was in my plant room. But I've just been loving this plant. It just took off for me this year. I've had this one for super long. It was a very slow grower until I propagated. I cut it all up and then I rooted those cuttings and then potted it back together. And this is the final result. I definitely need to water it. This is number 4. Like if we're going from top to bottom. And these are like my top 4 favorite Hoyas at the moment. Top 5 if you count my obovata. Hoya Polyneura Silver. I'll just let you guys observe. Next up we have my Hoya Bella Alba Marginata, or Anacabui. I have no idea how to pronounce the name, but this is just a variegated Bella. It's always blooming, it's growing all the time, grows really fast, very hardy, and it does like more water than some of the others, but even though I forget sometimes, it still hasn't ever gotten root rot. Actually, maybe a couple times, but it bounced back super easily. That's what I love about this Hoya. It's just, even if I make a mistake, I can just take like a bunch of cuttings and propagate them and have like a huge plant again. I just want like a giant basket of this. I think that would be fun, but I would need more space. So this next one, it's pretty small. That's because my mother plant recently got root rot. I don't know what happened, but I thankfully had some propagations of it. I have another one as well. This is Hoya Serpens. Leaves are tiny and fuzzy and cute. If you look really closely, I guess the leaves are supposed to look like a snake head. I don't really see it, but I guess. I just like how round and small they are. I love tiny leaved Hoyas. Which reminds me, I totally skipped one, so I'll show you guys right after this, but as you'll notice, my top like 3 favorites have tiny leaves. It's just, they're so fun to grow. I just like the small leaf Hoyas because even when they grow really fast, they don't get like too big for your space. I would highly recommend this plant. I don't know why people have a hard time with them. For me, they are pretty easy. I actually think they do really well in sphagnum moss, but I know it's such a pain when you have to take a plant out of sphagnum moss. But I think it's worth it for this one. I haven't had any problems like transferring them from sphagnum moss to soil. And they root pretty quickly. So yeah, I would recommend this if you're starting out with Hoyas, dare I say. By the way, this is a cutting I took of a splashy leaf, and I tried to grow it out and see if it would give me more splash, and it has. So I think that's really fun. Actually, now that I think about it, I did skip this next plant, but I think it's properly ranked because it is one of my favorites, and that is my Hoya, my tiny leafed Hoya. Hoya lacunosa variegated. I don't know, there's something about this variegation and these tiny leaves and the pink and the green and the yellow, all of it. I just love this combination, and it's got a little peduncle look. You can see that. So that's fun. I really love the way lacunosa smells. I would have more lacunosa varieties, but I just don't have the space anymore, so I'm trying to just keep it minimum. I really loved my silver one, but it recently passed away. I used to also have a royal flush, which I loved. I don't think I've ever had the regular green. But anyway, this one does it for me. I think this is all I really need in a lacunosa. Moving on to my number one favorite Hoya. This plant, ever since the first time I saw it, I just had to have it, and they were super expensive at some point. I don't know why. They're pretty fast growers. This is my Hoya Bella Louis Bois, intervariegated, whatever you want to call it. It's just the most whimsical, fun, and fast-growing, yet stunning Hoya, in my opinion, and it's always blooming. Mine just had a flower, but this has just always been my favorite Hoya. I got this at that Hoya convention. Funny story, actually, I didn't get it there, but the seller that I got a couple other ones from told me that she had one like at her house or something, and so she shipped it to me. I don't know, like these were literally so hard to find back then. I purchased, this is embarrassing a little bit, I purchased like 4 leaves for $100. Like that, like 4 tiny little leaves. Needless to say, I have to cherish this plant. I don't think I would spend $100 on a Hoya. I don't think I would spend more than $60 for a Hoya nowadays. I've had it, I don't even know how many years, maybe 4 years now. I think it was 2020 because, no, or 2021, because we had to wear a face mask, even though it was an outdoor event. Favorite Hoya, okay, I think that's number 45-ish, I think 45. And that's my entire Hoya collection. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know if you made it all the way to this point. Let me know what your favorite Hoya is. Let me know what your favorite Hoyas are and what your like wish list Hoyas are. I think for me, I would get the Hoya Coriaceae Silver, Hoya Argentea Princess, now that those are reasonably priced. And then I think Hypolasia. I've always wanted a Hoya Hypolasia. Okay, I am tired. I have to put all of these Hoyas back. Thank you again for watching. Consider subscribing if you're not, and like this video. Let me know what else you would like to see in my plants, and I look forward to the next video. Bye!